Everybody good?
Everybody good? All right, fire away.
What was the first thing you told Drake after the game about his performance?
Yeah, I was pleased with his performance. Other than the 2 interceptions, those things, we can't have those turnovers. That was the big thing. And, you know, Drake, as I've said before, as soon as I got on the phone with him, you know, he was like, that was stupid, that was my fault, whatever. So he's very accountable for the mistakes he made. But I really like what he did. I thought we started fast. We got him going early with a few completions that we thought might be easy completions. Got in some tempo. Loved the way we started the first drive or two, and got some runs in there too. So, you know, I thought overall Drake played really well, with the exception of those 2 mistakes. There's another check that he had that he'd probably like to have back. But other than that, I thought he played really well for the first time out.
Should the vision you have for the offense match the reality of what we saw Saturday?
You know, there's a lot of things to clean up, a lot of things to fix, but I think, you know, the style that we wanted to play, we wanted to establish running the football. That's something we really were committed to doing. There were some ugly runs in there sometimes with South Carolina, made it hard on us a couple times, and then we made some mistakes up front too, but we were committed to doing that. I think that's important to help protect Drake. I think it's important for us to be able to throw the football down the field, slow down some pass rush. So, you know, it's a good start for us for sure. Lots of things to fix though. When you look at it from a coach's standpoint, just you know, a lot of typical first game stuff, you know, where, you know, your first time you're playing live, the speed of the game is probably a little different, even though we do more one-on-one, ones versus ones than probably some of the other places I've been. So, but I thought overall, you know, we were able to run the football good enough. We were able to throw some balls down the field off play action, which we really want to do, and we got the ball out of Drake's hand pretty quick too most of the time. So, you know, like I said, a lot of things to fix, but really I was pleased with the start.
The tight ends combined for 9 catches, 3 apiece.
Mm-hmm.
How much emphasis was placed on getting them as involved as they were?
Well, I think that goes back to trying to use your players the best you can. You know, your best players, the tight ends, all 3 of them are in our group of guys that we understand that need to have the opportunity because they can all 3 make plays down the field. They're also very good in the run game. I was really pleased with how physical those guys played in our run game. And you can see Kamari, Bryson, as well as John, they're all 3 capable of making plays. And you know, the way football's played these days, the tight ends are such an important part of any offense. And the more versatile they are and the more things they can do, I think it helps your offense for sure.
Yeah, sacks are often attributed to offensive line, but there are other elements that play into it.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't allow any the other night. There wasn't
Yeah.
a whole lot of pressure on Drake. So what are some of the other points than just the offensive line?
Yeah. First they did. I thought they did a nice job protecting him. You know, we communicated really well from the standpoint of who we were sliding to. Drake changed the protection a few times. Everybody got the check. Everybody understood. And then our running backs, if you go back and watch the film, they stepped up and protected and met the linebackers in the hole. Our tight ends did a nice job when we were chipping to get out. So I think as a whole, and then Drake did a nice job of not holding the ball. He got the ball out of his hand, which I think goes back to making a really good pre-snap decision, understanding what coverage we're seeing, knowing where his eyes are supposed to be. And I think all those things combined, that was a huge emphasis for us, is to protect him, to get the ball out of our hand from the quarterback position. You see football around the country, some of the sacks aren't always, the offensive line gets blamed, but sometimes the quarterback's sitting there holding the ball too long, and at some point it's going to break down. So overall, I was pleased with that whole unit, you know, is how we protected and got the ball out.
Staying with that, one of the things Amarian had to work on a year ago is pass protection. He never had to do it in high school.
Right.
So how much has he progressed since you got here in that element, and how was he the other night?
Yeah, I think he's progressed really well. You know, with him, it's just a matter of understanding how the protection is supposed to work. Are we in a 7-man protection? Are we in a 6-man protection? Or is it a quick game set? Is it a drop back set? All those things go into those running backs of understanding where to protect. Some of our play actions, they have to feel front side or back side depending on the call. And I think that just goes with the growth of a young running back who you know, understands now not just what my assignment is, but why the protection is designed that way. And I think that's what we're always looking for the quarterbacks, trying to teach those guys, why are we protecting this way? Is it just because I like to do it that way? No, it's because we think we'll get this guy, you know, get him affected or something by whatever protection we're in and where the vulnerabilities are in the protection. And I think our whole team, are for sure the running backs and quarterbacks, are getting better at understanding that.
Coach Lindsey, with Hampton scoring 2 touchdowns in the game Saturday night and having a decent amount of carries behind Brooks, he had a good start to the season last year. How do you
Yeah, that's the challenge, I think, for all of us to stay consistent, right? I think that's the most important thing is, and Coach Brown mentions this a lot, how can we be consistent every day, excuse me, come out and have great practice and then carry it over to the game. And, you know, we understand that the season's a long season, and guys sometimes coming from high school, which I know he's been here, but they don't understand that grind every single day that a season. And by the end of the season, it feels like you've been playing for 6 months. And so I think that's the challenge for our guys. Let's just continue to do the things we got to do to improve each and every day and be really consistent. And a lot of that's focused. And one thing I want to say is I thought our focus was really good. I thought our walkthroughs, I even made a comment to Clem, Randy, our O-line coach, that I felt like our focus was there during the walkthrough time. You can kind of get that vibe. I think our guys were excited to play and look forward to the challenge. And you know, we've been practicing for a couple weeks, kind of, you know, in this, getting ready for this game, and I think that helped as well. But the focus is there, and we got to do that tomorrow on our first day back on the field this week. And I thought last night, Sunday's light, but I thought they were good then as well. But we got to make sure we continue to focus each and every day.
What do you like about the Wildcat? And what about the personnel that you have?
Yeah.
What do you think makes that work for what you have?
Yeah, I think, you know, anytime you can give the defense different looks, I think that helps, you know, and you know, the deal we did the other night on the short yards, I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about. Or,
well, you tried it on the goal line too, but I
yeah,
think
they called timeout. That's our round package, you know. We called it the round package because, you know, it's North Carolina. So I think that's for us, you know, that's something that's, it gives us an opportunity sometimes to get multiple bigger bodies on the field. And, you know, I think it's something that makes you a little more versatile. And we got a lot of different variations of it. You don't carry them all every week. But, you know, for me, it just gives us some versatility and the opportunity to maybe get downhill. And that's something I think is important. And I think our personnel allows us to do that some. Some weeks will be more than others. Some week maybe not at all. It's all about the game plan.
You obviously coached at Troy for 3 years, and you've seen App State and their defense multiple times. Obviously one of the standards of the leagues in the Sun Belt. With your past experience and when you're going to look at them this week, what makes them such a tough defense to face? Yeah, when I was in that league, the Sun Belt, they were the top of the league every year. They were really, really talented. Sean Clark, their head coach, does an outstanding job. He's an old offensive line coach, so they're gonna try to run the football all the time. That's what they do. That's who they are, and they got a lot of good things off of it. Their staff is really good. They've always had a great staff there over the years, no matter who the head coach was. It seems like those guys that have worked up there have kind of all stayed in that family. Always was very impressed with those guys when we were playing in the other league. And, you know, I think, you know, their history says it all. They've had a lot of success up there, no matter what division they've been playing in. They've had a lot of great wins against some larger opponents. So I think for me, I just always see a well-coached team that plays really hard. And they're going to make you earn it all the time, and there's living proof of that on film from last year and also from my time going against them. So it's a huge challenge for us, and we got to make sure that we understand it's time to turn the page and get our guys focused and be ready to go.
Now that you've gotten a chance to call a game with the new clock rule, was there anything you like about the rule? What don't you like about it? And was it easy to adjust to?
You know, the game moves faster. I don't know what the time was. You guys probably know better than I do compared to some games in the past, but it just feels like it moves faster. I know there's probably 8 to 10 less plays a game, it looks like. Now South Carolina, their play count got up because they were throwing a lot there at the end, and going fast. But, you know, I think it really, you look up at the clock and there's 6 or 7 minutes left in a quarter, you know, and you're like, wow, this thing's flying by. And so I do think it's a little bit of a factor, but I also think this, if you can run the football some and do that, then I think it gives you a huge advantage. And, you know, you got to make sure that you understand that, hey, if we're off the field very quickly, you know, you may not get as many chances to get the ball back. I don't know how many possessions we had the other night, but, you know, I've been in games before where you got possession after possession after possession, and the other night we didn't feel that way. And I thought we adjusted well as a staff. I think we had a good plan, but at the same time, it is a factor. Probably too early to tell for me right now as far as how big a factor that's going to be, but it's definitely a lot faster for sure.
What were the adjustments you had to make with Tez and Nate being out?
With who?
With Tez and Nate being out on Saturday.
Well, I think we're lucky to have a little depth in that room, that's for sure. We've got some guys like Kobe and Gavin and JJ that have played and played in games here and played well. So I think that was a comforting thing. I think, you know, Tez and Nate, getting those guys back is really critical for us. They're really good players. They do a great job. I mean, you got to have depth. I mean, we can't survive. And our young receivers are really talented, but they're still figuring it out. They're still learning. So we need those guys to kind of grow up pretty fast. But game plan-wise, didn't change a whole lot, being honest with you. You know, we felt like Tez was going to play, and that's the way we approach practice. And then we also feel like our other guys get reps as well. And, you know, at the end of the day, we have to be who we are. We can't have different plays each and every week. We're kind of got to be who we are that fits our team. I think that's the key coaching point is let's build the offense around the strengths of our team. And I thought we did a nice job of that, and hopefully we'll get those guys back this week.
What's the challenge? Mike talked earlier about the finishing the game. What's the challenge late in the fourth quarter, 8 minutes or so to go?
Yeah.
You're up 14. The offense
Yeah.
sort of sputtered a little.
Yep.
Where's the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big challenge, something we really talked about last night. You know, if you go back to that game, we got a 2-score lead, I guess, with around 8 minutes and some change left. And, you know, we had thrown a couple interceptions, and obviously that sticks out in your mind about, hey, let's don't turn the ball over. And we'd had success running the ball. And when you go back and look at those drives, you know, we were close to hitting a couple runs, but we didn't quite get it done. And but the one thing we did is we ate up some clock by running the ball. I think the one drive they called 3 timeouts probably in a row, and that was good because we wanted those guys to use those timeouts, knowing they were down 2 scores. At the same time, we tried to present something to them they hadn't seen before, and we got a couple first downs with that. And I think for us, we got to keep the mentality that, hey, we're still going to be aggressive. And Drake's a veteran quarterback now, so, you know, I trust him tremendously, and we're going to have to hit some throws still in those situations. If you look at both interceptions, one was on a scramble drill. He'd probably like to have it back, although the receiver can kind of come back and help him some too and not drift away and get undercut. And then the other interception, ball placement was bad. He should have put the ball outside. He's trying to go back shoulder. So we had some throws, some opportunities, but we got to definitely do a great job of studying that scenario and making sure if we get in that again that we can do a better job of staying on the field and help our defense out. And then, you know, we didn't do a great job of that in that scenario for sure.
Chip, is Doc Chapman maybe the pleasant surprise of this offense, or one of them? Like, how would you describe the progress that he's made? And, you know, you guys are using him, obviously.
Yeah, and I think with Nate being down, you know, it gave him maybe some more opportunities than he might have had. But Doc is extremely talented. He has improved from 3 weeks ago. You know, where he is now, I think it's a huge improvement. Doc's a great kid. He's explosive. You know that. He's got really good short area quickness and can make cuts and so forth. So I really like him, and I think we'll see how his you know, workload goes throughout the season. But he gives us another dimension there for sure. And being down Nate, I think that was a huge deal for us to have him step up, and I'm really proud of him for doing that.
Time for 2 more.
Chip, this may be a silly question, but your predecessor was on the field calling plays. You're up in the booth calling plays. Why do you prefer to be up in the booth versus on the field? I know different offensive coordinators.
You know what? I've always been up in the box unless I was a head coach. So because they kind of make you be down on the field for that. So, but you know, I just like it. I like to be able to sit up there and see from, you know, above, and it's just a comfort thing. I mean, some guys love it, some guys don't. If you look around the country, everybody does it a little different. So I think it's really just purely a comfort thing for me.
Guys, it seemed like the first drive went about as well as you could have hoped for, just the way, just all the different things you're able to do.
Sure.
I mean, do you actually script that out like the old school? You would hear, you know, these first 15 plays are scripted. Like, what is there a script that you're like picking and choosing from for specifically the first drive, or is that just a feel thing? Like,
No. I think you script based on what your preparation and what you've practiced, and you know, at the end of the week, you look up there and go, okay, what has looked really good? What have we been good at? What can we execute? I think that's really the idea there, and everybody does it a little different. Some script, I think, 10, some script 15. Each week for me is a little different based on the defense we're playing. But the one thing I'll say is when you do it when you script your plays and you walk through it with your guys and they know what's coming, it makes it easier to execute. And I think that's a huge thing because you go, okay, guys, hey, I'm thinking this. Hey, the first third down, I'm thinking this, and try to do a great job of preparing them so nothing's a shock when they're on the field, whether it's seeing the signal and getting that right or executing the plays against the defense. And, you know, that was a great start we had the other night, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. Sometimes they either show up in something different on defense or, you know, you don't execute or whatever, and you have to go back and rethink some things. But, again, our guys were focused. I think they prepared, and they really executed well those first couple of drives, and I think that got us off to a great start.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah.